Hi everybody, welcome back to another stream in a pretty interesting week, I will say. At least if you're a developer, which I would assume most of you are. Got another AI model, and again, it's the best of the best. So definitely something we could talk about, and something I'm also interested in hearing your thoughts about. And maybe we'll also try some vibe coding, because I heard that Gemini 3 is pretty good at that, and it's not been my experience. Actually, I released a video today. And in that video, I talk about Gemini 3, and I show a little vibe coding attempt in there, or the results of that attempt, and it's not super convincing. I'll show it here in a second too. So yeah, hi everybody, thanks for joining. So amazing to have you all here. I will say I really like these streams. So I've been doing them since the beginning of this year, and I've not been able to make it every week, but I do my best to squeeze it in once a week, and I really love them. I really like having all of you here. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. And let me see, let's maybe take another look at this Gemini 3 announcement blog post. And we don't have to like spend the entire stream on Gemini 3, obviously. But it is the big new thing. Maybe something you also have some thoughts or questions about. So feel free to share whatever you think of this model or whatever you want to know from me. And then, as mentioned, I'll probably also do some vibe coding. So yeah, so many people here. That's amazing. And then thanks everybody who's dropping a message in the chat. Good to see you all here. So, Gemini 3 dropped, and maybe some of you saw my YouTube video, some probably didn't, and that's totally fine. I just want to briefly share what I think of this new model, maybe about AI in general, if it's going to take our job as a developer, because I get this question a lot. And yeah, as mentioned, definitely feel free to share your thoughts as well. What's vibe coding? Vibe coding is a term coined by Andrej Karpathy. I'm afraid I totally pronounced his name incorrectly, but the idea behind vibe coding is that you build software without really caring about the code, possibly without knowing how to code. You just tell the AI what you want, and you trust that it will do that. Is Gemini 3 paid? The API is, if you want to integrate it into your own applications, but it's not paid if you want to use it in the Gemini app. There also is, of course, the AI mode on google.com. So that's essentially Gemini or ChatGPT integrated in Google, you could call it. And this will also use Gemini 3 if you're in the US. For me in Europe, it's not yet using Gemini 3, but here you can use the Gemini models for free too. So Gemini 3, and by the way, I read all those nice messages. Thank you all so much. Really means a lot to me. It's getting this feedback is just amazing. I don't know what to say. So yeah, thank you all so much. And yeah, so let's take a look at Gemini 3. By the way, a couple of minutes ago, Nano Banana Pro dropped. So the next version of the Nano Banana image generation model by Google. And I have not read this blog post yet, so we can do that together. But first, briefly, Gemini 3 was released, it's 2 days ago. And it's the big new shiny AI model by Google. Got pretty impressive benchmark numbers, of course. But I will say, and I've said it in separate videos, I'm not super impressed by those benchmark numbers, because we've seen before with other models, looking at you, Llama 4, that you can have great benchmark numbers and still the model is kind of meh when you use it. So we'll see how good Gemini 3 is. And I have some early thoughts because I have done some coding with it yesterday and today. And it's okay. It's okay, but it's not awesome in my experience yet. And it got some problems with following instructions. And that's kind of weird because I see lots of posts on X where people are celebrating it. And of course, you have to be careful. Most of the people that are super enthusiastic want to sell you something related to AI, but I see some excited people there. It seems to be good at vibe coding. Again, we can try that together today. I had mixed experiences, but yeah, it seems to be a good model in general. We can say that. Got a lot of messages here. That is just amazing. So yeah, thanks again for all the nice feedback. I have a subscription of Cursor and I'm doing code only with Cursor AI without thinking only doing vibe coding. I'm thinking my programming skill is becoming weak day by day. Yeah, so if you use AI too much, I've been there too. I get back to that state from time to time, that you kind of fall into the trap of using AI too much, and that kind of is not good for your skill as a developer. And at the same time, in my experience, AI is not good enough to do it all on its own. So you gotta stay sharp. And I've said it before in other streams and videos. As a developer, I think we got two big choices, two big options right now with AI. You can run away, afraid of it, not a good option, or you can use it to your advantage. And I believe you want to go deep. You want to be an expert in what you do, because the AI is pretty broad. The AI is good at a lot of things, but it excels at none. If you excel at certain tasks, if you have a deep understanding of programming, you can get the best of both worlds. That is my clear belief of what you as a developer can do with AI today. Become an expert, use it to your advantage, and use it for the breadth, and use it for tasks where you maybe aren't an expert yet, but enrich that result you get back from the AI with your expertise. Steer the AI based on your expertise. That is what I try to do. That is my recommendation. Yeah, my thoughts on that. Was watching one of your courses on Udemy when you came live, so I had to switch. That's amazing. So welcome here then. So I guess you got my voice in the courses and my face, and now you got it here. So it's Max Day. My opinion is that with LLMs, people will just develop apps a lot faster, especially by vibe coders, and then companies will need to hire many true developers to fix all the problems. Yeah, that's basically what I just also meant. So very good point. You can get stuff done quickly with AI, no doubt about that. You can also do some vibe coding. People without any programming skills can definitely build stuff with AI. But if we're talking about anything that's a bit more complex, where security performance matters, where you maybe need to work on an existing code base and not start with an empty project and build some simple landing page, for all these things, AI just isn't enough. And by the way, there is also more than web development. And from what I've heard, AI can really struggle with non-web development tasks. So there is that. It's the same. It's been the same with IDEs. People started developing faster, then more developers were needed. Always the same cycle. Yeah, I agree. I haven't found any negative reviews on Gemini 3 yet, even though I was searching. Well, I found quite a bit, and I think you can, at least if you have an X subscription, you can use X. Do some research on negative receptions of Gemini 3. What are people not liking about? And you should be able to find some. Not that you have to, but there definitely are some results by people that are not fully convinced out there. But as I said initially, and that's really important to me, Gemini 3 is a really good model, and I've been writing code with it yesterday and today, and whilst I had some problems with it, with the instruction following, I'm generally happy with it. I'm just not sure if it's so much better than all the rest. I am pretty sure, though, that Google is in an amazing position because now they got a model which may be the best or is definitely close, and they got all the reach through Google.com. They're integrating it into the search experience, so I think they will be able to capture a large chunk of the pie in the future. Yeah, the strange thing is that companies are actually insisting that employees use AI for coding. And I do not understand why that is. Why would your company insist that you use AI when coding? So I understand that company maybe want developers to at least give it a shot. I see the problem that there will definitely be managers that are convinced from all the things they read that that AI is able to do the job of developers, or at least of some developers. So I definitely see a near-term future where managers will basically not hire for certain positions because they will say, well, the existing developers should just use AI, and then they can get the job done without us hiring more developers. And that is, of course, a huge problem, because even if those companies then find out in 1 or 2 years that they need developers again, we'll have a gap of junior developers which weren't hired, which moved on maybe to other positions or other jobs. So that is one potential problem I definitely see. By the way, please keep it saved. I can't join it right now. Yeah, the stream will be uploaded to my second YouTube channel. Maximilian Schwarzmüller Extended is the name. So that is my second YouTube channel, and I'll upload. I upload all recordings of all my streams to this channel, so it will be available there tomorrow. Thank you so much, Praveen. Yeah, so these are my thoughts about AI in general and the impact on developers, I'd say. Now, here, by the way, are some negative thoughts about Gemini 3, I guess, as they were posted on X. Let me shrink this to make sure it's visible. Yeah, so obviously you can do that research on your own, don't need me to read it, but not everybody is convinced. That being said, I am not unhappy with it in general, but there is something interesting which I also shared in that YouTube video I posted a couple of hours ago. If you take a look at the official Gemini 3 announcement, you will see it starts with a note by the CEO, Sundar, but then in the very second section, they mention vibe coding and that it's a powerful vibe coding model. They also mention agentic coding, of course, but vibe coding is mentioned here. And you wonder why that is. Why is it so important to Google that vibe coding is something their model is good at? Why does that matter to them? And the answer can be found a bit further above, in my opinion at least. Sundar mentions that Gemini 3 is also available in AI mode in search. What he's not mentioning here is that it's only for US subscribers of the Pro and Ultra plans. But ultimately, in a couple of weeks, I guess, it will be the standard model in search across the world. And then we get a separate post about Gemini 3 being integrated in search. And here we can see that their idea is that when you search on Google, so this is not Gemini, this is Google here. When you use the AI mode and you search for something, if it makes sense, they don't just want to give you text as a response, but instead an interactive chart, a simulation, a 3D model, anything like that, as you see here. So that's clearly their vision. That's the vision of Google, that they want to move towards a future where when you search on Google, you don't just find links, you don't just get text, not just AI summaries as you do today, but instead you get whatever makes sense for your search. If you're searching for something where a graphic, a chart makes sense, you should get that. That is clearly their vision. And it makes sense. I'm not sure exactly how they will monetize it, because obviously they still want people to click on links, but I get that they rather keep people on their site and figure out monetization later than let ChatGPT take all the pie. So I totally understand that they want to move fast and that they want to deliver a modern search that is more than just links. But with that in mind, if that's how Google thinks about the future of search, it of course makes a lot of sense that they will heavily optimize their models to be good at producing these interactive charts or 3D visualizations. And in that context, it makes a lot of sense to me that on X, for example, I found a lot of posts by people that shared how amazing Gemini 3 is at generating 3D stuff, like this 3D editor you see here. A post by me, but it's an old one. Or other infographics and stuff. Well, now we got a lot of Nano Banana posts here, but it makes a lot of sense that it's really good at generating these 3D scenes and so on, because that seems to be Google's vision. So my assumption is that it's heavily optimized for that. Yeah, and I'll show you something interesting in a second. But first, let me quickly take a look at the chat. The client just dropped a message saying that starting with Monday, use only cursor AI. That is mandatory, accompanied with a lot of exclamation marks. Except the creepy UI, I'm fine. Yeah, so yeah, I totally get that. There will be clients, companies that force AI and certain tools onto developers. In my opinion, if you're forced to use cursor, you're better off than if you were forced, excuse me, forced to use anti-gravity, which is the new tool Google dropped together with Gemini 3, but I'll get back to that. But yeah, I get that this is very frustrating. Is DevOps dying? I heard that it is dying from many. I'm not sure. I don't know why it would be dying. I think AI there too can help with stuff like generating or helping you generate Docker files. But I can tell you, I've been doing lots of DevOps stuff over the last weeks. And whilst AI can be a great help, I would argue that especially DevOps is something where you don't want to blindly trust AI. You want to have secure servers. You want to have DevOps flows where if things fail, you roll back and all that fun stuff. So blindly just use AI there is probably not the path forward. Are we at a stage where we choose a tech stack based on AI assistance? For example, Next.js and 10-stack start. Next.js simply gives better AI results. That is so true. And that is a huge, huge problem in my opinion. And actually, and I don't just want to advertise myself here all the time, but I created a video about that too a couple of months ago already, I think. I don't even know what I called it, where I was talking about the fact that we are basically converging at one main tech stack that is used by the AI all the time, which is essentially React, Next.js, Tailwind, and the default stack, this video here. And that this is a problem because obviously it's good to have choice. It helps innovation. And if we essentially have to use React and Tailwind and ShadCN and so on because that is where AI shines, that is maybe not that great. So yeah, AI, I would say, has an influence on that. The good thing is, if you provide the right context, like documentation and so on, you can also work with other tech stacks, but there definitely is a bias or a shift towards that one main tech stack. I agree. What do you think about the metrics they use to measure the performance of those large language models? How much do they reflect the real capabilities? Yeah, so that's the big problem I see. All these benchmark numbers are, of course, impressive and nice, but they're just benchmarks. Models can be optimized or fine-tuned to do well in those benchmarks. We've seen it before with other releases, like the Llama 4 models, which did great in benchmarks, but weren't received that well by the people. So I look at these numbers briefly, but to be honest, I expect every new model that's released to do better. Otherwise, they wouldn't release it. And it doesn't mean a lot to me. I use AI to bootstrap projects, and then I'll go full hands-on coding until some of the features are implemented. And then I'll use AI to add a feature slowly. Yeah, so what I do, for example, a lot is I use AI heavily when building prototypes or MVPs. I use it with lots of context to work on individual features. I use it a lot. But just telling it, do that, do that, do that, and then taking a look at the code and not understanding anything, that's, of course, not so great. That's what I try to avoid. And it's easy to fall into the trap of just asking AI for one more feature, one more thing, one additional thing to implement. And then something doesn't work and you tell it, hey, please fix that, and it doesn't fix that, or it fixes it and introduces a new problem. And then at some point you have to take a look at the code and you don't understand anything, and therefore it takes you super long to understand it. And then you see, oh, well, this code is a mess. And you spend 3 hours cleaning it up. That's definitely something I've been at and something I try to avoid, but I repeatedly fall into that trap, I will admit. At the same time, if you use it with a bit more care, I find it to be very efficient to work with AI. By the way, not just with prompting and agents, but also with tab completion, which I really, really like in Cursor. And also other IDEs, I just happen to use Cursor. So front-end devs are doomed? I don't think so. And in case you missed my last couple of minutes ranting, I also posted a video today where I basically say the same thing. So yeah, I don't think we're doomed. I build an application with vibe coding and I is not able to resolve bugs and I'm facing so much difficulties. Is it technical debt? Yeah, so if you use an AI to do vibe coding and it's not working and you have to like spend lots of time to go through it, that is definitely some form of technical debt, you could say, yeah. Anyways, so Gemini 3 will also get an even smarter model, Gemini 3 Deep Think, at some point in the future. It's not there yet, though. And yeah, so their idea with Gemini 3, besides having a really smart model, really is to have a model that's very good at producing UIs and interactive stuff on the fly as needed. That is how you could summarize it. Now, I have one problem, though. I read a lot, including in the official announcements, that it's super good at vibe coding. So I figured I'll give it a try. And here is Anti-Gravity. In case you don't know, Anti-Gravity is an IDE by Google, yet another VS Code clone, or to be precise, it's a Windsurf clone, which is a VS Code clone though. And it's an IDE that is purpose-built for AI-driven development. I have used it a bit. I find it pretty bad. Had a lot of bugs and problems. I think I'll restart to update. Maybe everything's fixed now. Oh, for a second I thought it killed my stream. No. So let's see. I'll restart Anti-Gravity. And I want to show you something fun. In case you have not watched my YouTube video, which you of course all should. So, okay, here we are. A comment on artifacts. Okay. So in Anti-Gravity, let me see. There is a browser built in. This is pretty nice. Oh, Agent Manager, right. So they have this idea, just like Cursor with recent editions, that you have two modes. You have your default editor. So that is really just a code editor here. And of course you can, guess what, write code here. You can use tab completions. You can do all that fun stuff. And I'm not sure why I have to configure that again. But then you also have the agent manager. And that is a bit like the agent view in Cursor. So here you don't see your code. Instead, you can have multiple workspaces and each workspace is a separate project. So here I have this Gemini 3 vibe coding project, and that is my workspace here. And then in there, you can have conversations. And this was one conversation I had yesterday. No, earlier today, where I tried some vibe coding. So I asked it to create a landing page for, well, you can read it yourself, I guess, but for a professional cleaning service. I gave it some colors so that it's not purple, because we all know if you let AI do something, it's either blue or purple or a gradient of both. And that I basically wanted to have a hero section, pricing and perks. Not too many details, but again, it's vibe coding. So the idea really is to go with the flow and prompt and take a look and prompt again. So that's what I did. Then it took quite long to actually get stuff done, but it did all of that on its own. It gives you this nice walkthrough in the end here, where it basically summarizes what it did, where it explains what it did, what it built, okay. And then I figured, let's take a look. So let's start the development server. It built a React project, of course, because again, here we are back to that one stack thing. It's always React, and it was the same here. And let's take a look. That is what I got. I did not edit this. I did not make this worse to look worse. This is really what I got. Now you could say, yeah, you just have to continue prompting, and I agree. I could definitely continue prompting to make this better, but is that kind of how vibe coding should work? Is that what I should get as a first draft? I mean, if there were some content missing, sure. If there's something I didn't specify here, it can't know it. But it should be clear that I don't want a super ugly page. It should make some reasonable guesses, or it should ask me if something's not clear enough. And I've seen other examples on X where people kind of also had super simple prompts and got better results. So maybe I just wasn't lucky. Maybe my vibes weren't good enough. But yeah, this is what I got. So I was not super convinced by this, but I'm willing to give it another try today in the stream and try some more vibe coding, because maybe it was just bad luck. And I'm pretty sure you can get better results than this. I mean, the bar isn't very high, to be honest, but I've seen a lot of great results. So this is definitely not the norm. So got lots of people sharing their AI stories here, which makes sense and is super nice. Much appreciated. Who will die first? There we'll see. I guess the smaller large language model vendors might be the first to make the cut. I like using it for refactoring, yeah, and suggestions for refactoring. Yeah, I also like to use AI not to generate code, but to take a look at my code and give me feedback. I think that's also very valuable. There are many useful things you can do with AI, and I just want to make that very clear. I use AI. I like it. I think you can get a lot out of it as a developer. I'm just not a fan of all the hype that we sometimes see around AI. The other day, I tried to tell Copilot to create an abstract class and extend another class. Copilot just created 2 classes with the same methods in it. Yeah, I mean, we have stuff like that all the time where you tell AI something and it goes off and does something else. I don't know what they say AI agents are good at Next.js. The other day, it was a nightmare to build anything with so many dependencies and stuff that I kept forgetting and just doing wrong. Yeah, so with Next.js React, that's kind of where AI really shines, in my opinion. But again, with the right context and concrete tasks, you can get really good results in general. That is definitely something you can get. Mid to senior level jobs are somewhat safe, but junior job is cooked. It's well known that junior dev quit around 18 months for a higher salary job, so I think companies are valuing commitment more. So I think the big problem is that indeed junior developers have it very difficult right now. But who's going to be the senior developer of tomorrow if there is no junior developer today? And that's a big problem I think the entire industry will run into. I would suggest you to check out Windsurf IDE coupled with Gemini 2.5. Well, I'm using a Cursor mostly with Sonnet, Claude Sonnet, and the last 2 days also Gemini 3, and I'm quite happy with that. Microsoft front page throwback, yeah. Can you retry your prompt? I think that is a good idea, that we start with that. So I'm back here, and I will just undo my changes up to this point, and I hope I can then send it again. Here we go. Okay, yeah, so we're back in an empty React project. Actually, it did create that project for me too. I have not created it. Here, it now kept it, even though I went back, which is kind of weird. Not sure why it did that. But okay, we'll start with that project, and I'll send that exact same prompt again. Actually, I'll also tell it, let me know if anything's unclear or you need more details, and we'll send that off. And we'll see what we get. Is CSS missing? I don't think so, because we got some styling, right? So there are some styles. And even if it were just a missing CSS file, by the way, I'm super annoyed by all those posts that tell me, wow, XYZ, enter some job title there, are cooked. Gemini 3 one-shot this, and then they post some super fancy stuff, which clearly is fake. I'm so tired of that stuff. I struggle with OpenAI staying viable with companies like X and Google creating their own, where they have considering profits within their business to support the data and power needs of AI. So yeah, very good point. Something I also posted on X the other day. I firmly believe that Google will win the AI race. And of course, win does not mean that they're the only one, but I think companies like OpenAI have a real challenge. OpenAI, though, has the advantage that everybody says ChatGPT and means AI. Okay, so we get an implementation plan. I'll just let it do its thing here. So OpenAI at least has that advantage that most people know ChatGPT, and for them it's AI. But Google, of course, still has the vast majority of people that want to search stuff visit their site in the end. Often indirectly, by entering something in the address bar, right? But you end up on Google, you see the AI mode. In some time in the future, they may open up the AI mode automatically instead of giving you the AI overview. So boom, you are on Google. And that is something where I think other companies like OpenAI may struggle in the future, because Google has all that reach and they have good models, and they're also designing their own chips. That is also something that must not be overlooked. They are designing their own chips. So I think Google is in a very good position. X is also, I guess, in a good position. They got the money. They got X, which is a huge platform, which also has a lot of data, which is also important. OpenAI, as you correctly mentioned, has it a bit more difficult. Yeah, they get some data by the people using it, but that's also kind of a bit of synthetic data, I guess, which you could also say about a lot of X posts, though. But yeah, they don't have all that reach. They're not designing their own chips, so that might really be a problem for them. We'll see. I don't see OpenAI going away anytime soon. I'm just saying I think Google is in a much, much better position. I'm waiting for your RAG course. Actually, a RAG course is something I'm considering creating. So maybe there will be one in the hopefully near future. The junior dev will be a big issue in 5 to 10 years when the senior devs either age themselves out or leave for other jobs. Yeah, exactly. We should be able to start as a mid developer without a professional experience. So if we have that gap in a few years that companies need developers and there are none, we can definitely have a situation where they may need or may be forced to hire more broadly again. Of course, it is also one possible future where AI gets so good that no developers are needed anymore, and you could bet on that too as a company. That's just not something I personally see happening anytime soon. Obviously, I got no crystal ball, but from the progress in AI I see, from how AI fundamentally works, and all these things adding together, I don't see AI totally replacing developers anytime soon. So we will need developers, and if we then don't have junior developers, that will be a problem in a couple of years. Hey Max, I'm a PHP developer, but would like to learn some language or technology that could process heavy computation tasks or process large XML files. Is Go a good choice? Go is a good choice, I would say. There definitely are other good choices, I guess, like C, maybe Rust. These are just not languages I'm an expert in. But Go is definitely a good choice for computation-heavy tasks, in my experience, yes. Don't forget to make a sacrifice on the altar of the AI gods before it. Oh, I forgot it. So, we'll see. It is actually done here, so let's take a look at the result, shall we? So let's start this again. And can I accept all changes here? I still don't know exactly how this anti-gravity thing works. Where can I accept? Cool. Does this accept it? I don't know. Anyways, let's take a look. We can preview it. Oh, that looks better. That looks better. That definitely looks better than what I had before. So it's too bad that I got this bad result first, because that, of course, does look better. It's a nice clean landing page, and it did follow my instructions here. So that is actually what I would have expected, because again, that is clearly, as I mentioned before, what this Gemini 3 model was optimized for, like doing these one-shot tasks, building visually pleasing user interfaces. As I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, that is clearly what Google's goal is with this model. Now, always keep in mind, being a developer is a bit more than generating this kind of page, right? You could have done that even before AI with page builders like Wix. But it is a great help, and I truly mean it like this, if we have AI that can also do stuff like that can also give you prototypes quickly, or give you inspiration, or help you generate that landing page, help you with design tasks, something I personally struggle with, for example. So yeah, that does look much, much better. So even without a sacrifice, got a good result here, which is very nice. Google has more money, so they will win. Yeah, I think so. Can you create tuts how to build your own V0 code gen app? To be honest, that is the kind of app I'm really not interested in, so I probably won't build a course that is about building AI website builders anytime soon, to be honest. I never trust AI after doing native Google search, then only I use AI. Yeah, purely trusting AI is not a good idea. I agree. Every time I use React UI component library, I always end up regretting it. What's your personal favorite? So my personal favorite right now is actually to build my own components on top of React Aria, which are unstyled, very accessible components, including some more complex components, which are a bit annoying to build on your own, like menu components. Where is it? So like menu components, building something like this in an accessible way can be a bit annoying. So the great thing is you can use this and build your own components on top of that and add some tailwind styling, for example. And that's what I like to do with help of AI. So I typically copy like the entire documentation page, just like this. I copy that into the context of my chat and just tell it that it should build me a menu component using my project-specific styling. And that tends to work quite well. Don't sign off Apple. Yeah, true. The thing with Apple is super funny, by the way, because we all know that Apple kind of totally slept when it comes to all the AI innovation, right? To this day, they don't have an amazing AI product. I mean, Apple Intelligence, is it any good yet? I don't even know. But it might not matter because, as you said, they have like a huge ecosystem, so many devices, so many users. So they can just sit it out. They can just wait for a very good open model to drop and maybe adapt that. They can wait for models that are small enough to run on the devices. They can just buy good models very cheaply. They got all the time, no, not all the time in the world, but they got lots of time. So I agree. Apple has a good shot at maybe not winning, depending on how you would define that, but at having a very, very good position in a year or so. But they have to do something at some point. Because, of course, we got all these Android phones coming out with all these AI features, and at some point, Apple users also might want a bit more of that, and they might want it to work a bit better. So Apple definitely has to get moving at some point. But I do think they haven't missed a lot yet, which puts them in a pretty good position in the end. What is a good server-side rendering JavaScript stack that you recommend now other than Next.js? I personally like React Router, which previously was Remix, but now it's integrated into React Router, and TanStack Start. Over the last weeks, I've been using lots of TanStack Start, and I really, really like that. OpenAI has Microsoft, though. Well, not like they have the perfect relationship, but Microsoft can give them data, right? Yeah, Microsoft is definitely an asset, and vice versa. OpenAI is an asset for Microsoft. And that's why I say I don't see OpenAI going away or going bankrupt anytime soon. I just feel like Google is in the better position when it comes to consumers. There also is a totally different game of having the best models, the best APIs, of winning the business. The business part that companies use your models, and that's totally open. Also, because a lot of companies will probably want to use open models or anything that can run on their own or in their own data centers, but only time will tell, I guess. I would like to ask, as an Apple user, is it enough to have only a MacBook, or is it better to buy a PC? I'm now learning web development, but I will want to learn security in the future and maybe dedicate some time to AI development. I think a MacBook is enough. I'm only using a MacBook. I have a PC at home, but I only use that for gaming and for getting a bit into game development. But I think a MacBook is enough, to be honest. I'm using Windsurfer with Claude. Works pretty well with planning mode. Very good for refactoring, testing. If you know what exactly you want and clarify logic. Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. If you know what you want, if you have good context, good precise instructions, AI can be very helpful. Also in Cursor, which I'm using. Have you tried Lovable? No, I don't really have tried any of these AI page builders. It's just not my thing. I rather use tools like Cursor and then a mixture of me writing code in the AI and so on. Computers seem close to their peak performance, and models like ChatGPT have learned most of what's available from current data. What new things can they still learn? So the data part is definitely an issue, which is why they're now using more and more synthetic data, as I understand it. So they train models on data that was generated by models, which I guess introduces its own problems because it's not original data then. It's really kind of just a recycle cycle. But on the other hand, I heard that it seems to work quite well, that there has been some research that kind of shows that it's not a bad thing to do. But I'm no expert on that. I should read a bit more on that, though. But I think there too, we'll see. We'll see if, I mean, that's in general interesting, right? We'll see if with AI, if we got a chart, so this here is time, and this here is how good these models are, so the skill of these models. We'll see if this is the curve and we are here, or if this is the curve, so linear, or if it's something like this, like an S-shaped curve. We'll see where we are. If we plateau, if it gets better, if we have like a linear thing. My feeling is that if we take a look, maybe a year ago we were here and now we are here. So it has increased quite a bit. That's my feeling. But if I just take a look at the last couple of months, it definitely feels less steep. So we'll see how that continues. If it is actually steeper than it feels for me, or if it will kind of, well, that's not beautiful, if it will kind of flatten. You get my point. That's not a nice arrow, but you get my point. What technology can I bet on in the future? I have 3 years of experience in full stack development. Nobody can tell the future, but as I said earlier, embracing AI, using it to your advantage and going deep, becoming an expert and using the breadth of AI together with your expertise sounds like a very viable strategy to me. I want to learn Golang over Java for backend. What do you feel? Go for it. I mean, whatever you like or whatever you have to use in your job. If there are no clear instructions or restrictions, use whatever you personally find more interesting. Is it possible that the higher use of AI may be causing some of these cloud outages lately? Some like code issues have been the root causes. So these outages are really interesting. It may just be a coincidence, and nobody knows for sure, of course. It's a funny thing that with all these recent AI-driven layoffs, at least at Amazon and AWS, we got more outages, but I don't think there is a strong connection necessarily. But again, it is, of course, possible that there are just less checks or less people doing checks, or more code being generated by AI and therefore less bugs being caught or more bugs being introduced. It is all possible. Nobody can tell though. It may just be a big coincidence. I see the AI is using an older version method of doing things in most of the Next.js and React projects. That is a big problem. Maybe even in this project, which is a very simple one, of course. So what I see in, well, this is mostly a static page here. By the way, one thing I also find kind of weird, I asked the AI here in this project for a landing page, right? Why would it use React for that? It makes zero sense. If you have to build a static landing page, if you have to build something like this, please don't use React. Please don't do it. There's no reason to do it. There's zero interactivity on this page. Now we just got a React app which has horrible search engine optimization because there's nothing here on this page. It's empty. This is the HTML that's sent over the wire. There's nothing here. It makes no sense to build this as a single page application with React. So that's just a side note. But yeah, to your point, if you use AI, it will generate outdated code quite a bit because, of course, its knowledge cutoff is in the past. But even worse than that, it's been trained on so many code repositories that used bad practices or that simply are outdated. It saw way more examples for doing it wrong or for using old methods or approaches than it saw correct or modern approaches, which is why all the time, for me too, you get code generated by AI that's not in line with modern features or standards. For example, for React, I get forward ref all the time. It's deprecated. But in my React code, if I have some component that needs to accept a ref, AI uses forward ref all the time, even though it's been deprecated for a year now. But yeah, that is what it is. Been testing Cursor with Gemini 3, and my results may have been lackluster so far. Helper functions copied between services. Yeah, for me too. So I've also been using Gemini 3 with Cursor yesterday and today, and I've had mixed results. And I did switch back to Claude Sonnet from time to time because I was getting annoyed. Because I also had some problems with instruction following. Sometimes it was really good. Sometimes it started doing all kinds of stuff. So that was annoying. Yeah. I've learned a lot from you. I respect your work. Thank you so much. And by the way, so many nice messages here. Thanks to everybody. Truly means a lot to me. So thank you so much. You are all amazing. AI was only created so that we could be monitored. Well, we'll see. I think it may also have been created so that we're getting a bit dumber. I think Figma MCP with Claude Code is a game changer for front-end devs. So the entire MCP thing is one where I have kind of mixed thoughts on, to be very honest, and maybe also limited experience, to be very honest there too. But in general, I will say the ability of building mockups or designs in any tool, even if it's just a drawing, and feeding that to AI and building code based on that can be really powerful, especially when it comes to stuff like landing pages, right? Because I suck at design, and being able to get AI to help me with that is just amazing, is really just amazing. Am I using Cursor or anti-gravity? I'm using Cursor. What is your view on agentic AI? So the term AI agent is a term I totally hate because like 99% of all people call everything that uses AI an AI agent. So if you have an app that generates an image based on your input, that's not an AI agent. That's just some software that uses AI. An AI agent, in theory, is an AI software where the AI gets different tools to pick from. So where it makes smart decisions. And that's not what most things are that are called agents. That being said, I am a fan of, for example, using this agentic coding approach in Cursor, not anti-gravity, where you where the AI can use different tools, write to files, do some research, and all that stuff. I do like that. My views on the future of MCP. Kind of difficult. I mean, to be very honest, I don't use MCP a lot. I've dabbled around with it here and there, but for my prompts, when I know that there is some context I want the AI to be aware of, I typically just copy and paste it in. I don't trust it to discover it with help of an MCP. Maybe that will get better, but I'm not sure. Combined with the fact that MCP can also introduce some security issues, not 100% on board. I think there's some hype around MCP, and for me at least, it has not lived up to that hype yet. But I also might just not be using it enough, or I might not be experimenting enough with MCP. Do you have experience with the IDEs from JetBrains like WebStorm or PyCharm? I used WebStorm and PyCharm way back in the past, like 2016, 17. I used WebStorm and so on. But back then, in 2018 or so, I switched to VS Code. I used that, and now, like half a year ago, I switched to Cursor. What backend would you personally learn for Vue.js? So if you're building like a REST API, I'm a big Bun fan. Bun and Hono, the Hono framework, I like that a lot. But you're also not wrong with just using good old Express.js, to be very honest. Oh, and of course, it doesn't have to be Node.js. That's just what I use. You could build it with PHP, whatever language you personally know and like. Is this the end for front-end devs? No. And I won't repeat myself, but I have created a video today where I also share my thoughts on that. So that might be interesting if you missed my points earlier. Do you understand the difference between AI and AGI? I hope so. I have to use Copilot at work, and it's always giving me bad information on Power Apps and Power Platform in general, which is odd because it's all Microsoft. Well, I think it's not that odd, because the big problem is that AI doesn't know a lot of things, but wants to produce a result most of the time. And when I say want and know, in the end, we're still just working with token generators. That has not changed. So we see tokens that are produced based on likelihoods, and the likelihood is influenced based on the available context, which includes your prompt, but also all additional context that might have been loaded invisibly into the prompt, for example. And if you were asking about technologies where not a lot of data was found when the models were trained, there's less context, if you want to call it like this, in the general knowledge of the model. So it's less likely to produce correct results, and it starts hallucinating, which is, of course, super, super annoying. I'm in my last semester of my computer science degree, and the AI hype really takes big hits on my motivation. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. It is super frustrating because you can definitely feel like it's all worth nothing in like 1 or 2 years anyways, right? Because AI will do everything. And even if that's not the case, which I firmly believe it won't, but even then, it's a super tough job market out there these days. And I totally get that is just annoying. And unfortunately, there's so little I can say or do to kind of ease that pain, because it is just a super annoying situation. And that part, I will say, I also miss about the old days, like 3 years ago, where coding was just fun and we were just diving into technologies and learning new stuff and building stuff. Now we can do it a bit more efficiently, and I like AI, as I mentioned, but at the same time, there's so much annoying noise and hype around all of that. That is really not a lot of fun. We already have fully automated airplanes, yet we still rely on pilots. In the same way, it's hard to imagine that someone with no coding background could build a production level project. Yeah, so that's a good analogy, I think. Even if AI could produce all the code of complex projects, which it definitely can't today yet, in my opinion. But even if it could, would you trust it blindly and let it manage your website, your web application? Probably not, right? And the pilot example is a good one. there is huge demand for pilots, even though planes could fly on their own, depending on the airport where they need to land. What course will I release next? Not sure yet. A RAG course was mentioned earlier. That might be something, but yeah, also some updates I'm working on. So not sure what will be first. So yeah, got a lot of chat messages, but there's one other big news which I actually also want to dive in because I haven't read that blog post yet, and that is Nano Banana Pro. Nano Banana, of course, is the image generation model by Google, and Nano Banana was only introduced like 2 months ago. And now we got a pro version, we got a better version of Nano Banana. And that was released today. So, let's see. We can generate more accurate, context-rich visuals based on enhanced reasoning, world knowledge, and real-time information. You can doesn't just create beautiful images, it helps you create more helpful content. You can get accurate educational explainers, context-rich infographics and diagrams based on the content you provide. So that again makes perfect sense and is kind of in line with what I mentioned in this video and what I mentioned earlier, right? Google clearly has this vision of having AI models that can produce great responses in their search, in their AI mode, which may be the default search mode in the future. We don't know. So of course they want AI models that can generate rich 3D infographics and stuff like that, and Gemini 3 can do that. And it makes sense that they also want an image model that can produce infographics like this one, where we got lots of text on it, which is not broken, because of course in the past all these image models were pretty bad at generating text on images. So looks like this is generated by the latest Nano Banana model, and that I will say is pretty impressive because there's lots of text on there, and it's not just that the text is correct, it's also the same font. The order here looks correct, so there is some logic in this image. It's not just random pixels. Instead, it's really, this is like an infographic that for the most part could have been created by a human, I guess. I will have to try that. Actually, let's do that. Let's see if it's available in their API already. And give me 1 second. I got that bookmarked. And here we go. So these are the image generation API docs by Google. And looks like the latest model, which is called Gemini 3 Pro Image Preview, should be available yet. So given that it should be available, let's vibe code a little new application. Give me a second. So I created a new folder. Here we go. I'll again use anti-gravity because it's Google Day, kind of. So let's use that. And in there, I want to build a little application that can generate images with that new model. Now for that, I'll actually set up the project myself. I want a Next.js project because I'll need a backend, because I'll need to interact with the Google API. And I definitely don't want to do that from inside my frontend. I don't want to expose my API key. So let's create a new Next.js application here. Use the defaults. Here we go. And then I'll, of course, use I'll do some vibe coding again to get a nice user interface. In the meantime, more comments. Oh, so many questions and comments. You are all amazing. Wow. My experience with AI and CSS hasn't been great yet. Frontend will be okay for a while. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. How to do good SEO optimization in a React and Node project if we have no server-side rendering? Well, I would say you need server-side rendering. Without it, there's just nothing for the Google crawler to see on your page. How would you suggest to learn development for a junior? Definitely not just by trusting AI, but instead by you can use AI to ask follow-up questions. You can take a course, you can read documentation, you can read a book. You can learn with help of AI, but you need to build stuff on your own. You need to build stuff on your own. You will not get any better if you just let AI do the work and you think you understood it, but you didn't really. You need to do it on your own. Regarding which tech stack to use, Next.js is definitely not a bad idea. AI is good at it. You'll find plenty of resources. You can build full stack apps, which is fun because you can do more stuff there. You can add a database. So yeah, I think that is a good idea. What's my take on agentic AI development with tools like LangGraph or LangChain? Do you think it's going to be a big trend? I think AI agents or frameworks for building AI agents like LangChain are definitely here to stay and are pretty useful. I think lots of companies will experiment with building AI-powered workflows. And even if it's not only truly agentic in the sense of having an AI agent with multiple tools, frameworks or libraries like LangChain can in general help with building workflows that integrate AI. So I definitely see that as a trend that's going to stay around. And it's not just a LangChain and LangGraph, it's also tools like the AI SDK by Vercel, for example. Please make a crash course on JavaScript design patterns. In general, design patterns, systems programming, and not systems programming, systems engineering, all that would be interesting course topics. I just got so many ideas and plans, so I truly can't promise anything there, to be honest. Can you explain in short how Cursor works and why it is so effective? And why it's better than Microsoft Copilot. I don't know what exactly Microsoft Copilot is messing up. I agree that Cursor is better, but in the end, it must come down to the tools they expose to the AI, to the behind-the-scenes prompt engineering that's going on, because the messages you send to Cursor are not everything the AI model sees. Your messages get enriched by system prompts and other instructions defined by the Cursor team. And it must really be the combination of all these things, of the tools it has, of the system prompts, of the checks that run on the code that was produced and so on, that make this experience so good. Because I agree, Cursor is better than Copilot, in my opinion. I have a question. I've done a lot of course from you on Udemy. Why you guys are using a normal folder structure or others? Why you don't show large team can work in one project? I don't fully get the question, but if you mean why we have like simple projects, then the answer is because if I'm teaching React, I want to teach you React and not how to manage a large monorepo where dozens of people work together, because that's not related to React. That would be a separate course on building large-scale projects in a team. And we don't have such a course also because I don't have that experience anymore, because I have not worked in large teams for the last years. So I definitely won't start teaching it because I only want to teach what I know. So yeah, I think that's a fair deal. I mean, I'm kind of happy that I live in Germany like you. Yeah, I do live in Germany. I'm currently fully going enterprise Java AWS cloud architect. So that path is kind of still good. Also, my student job kind of helps. Yeah. So all the cloud stuff, all the DevOps stuff too, in my opinion, is super secure. And also development outside of web development might be a bit easier because it's mostly web development where all the craze is going on right now, I guess. But again, then that has been where plenty of jobs have been a couple of years ago. So it is, of course, super annoying that this is now way worse. I went through a few of your courses from 2018 to 19. Those courses are invaluable. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, thanks everybody for the nice messages. Now, before I'll dive deeper, let's do some vibe coding again, now in the Next.js app. And yeah, I want to build a Next.js application that allows users to generate AI images with help of AI by using the brand new image generation model released by Google. We'll add the actual code for generating images with AI later. For now, I just want you to build a stunning, modern, clean user interface. We want to initially only support text to image flows, i.e. we need to accept an input prompt and then have an area where the final image is shown. We also want to show a loading spinner whilst waiting for the image generation to finish. Initially, just add some dummy code that waits for 4 seconds after the prompt is submitted, and then does nothing. Also add validation for the user input. For the styling, I will actually set up, or I think we already have Tailwind. I think, yeah, Next.js comes with Tailwind. For the styling, we'll use Tailwind without shadcn. We'll build our own components. Don't use purple or blue colors. Use something else that looks elegant. Now you could argue if this is wipe coding, because I think this is pretty precise already and contains, we have lots of very detailed instructions in here. So this is almost more like agentic engineering, to be honest, now that I think of it. Vibe coding would have been to have a way shorter prompt. Here I have very specific instructions regarding which flows I want to support, that I want validation, the dummy stuff here. But okay, it's a mixture of vibe coding and agentic engineering, I guess, and we'll see what we get. I'll start in planning mode again with Gemini 3 Pro, and we'll just let that do its thing and then later add the actual image generation. You know somebody who did vibe coding, his system was hacked. Yeah, I mean, the problem with vibe coding is, of course, that performance, security, there will be a point where stuff just breaks, and just hoping for things not to go wrong is not a good strategy. Not just in software development, in general in life. It is fun to know something. It is fun to be an expert. It is fun to have an understanding of what you're doing. If you're doing something where you don't know what you're doing, I don't know about you, but that's not something I generally enjoy in my life. Okay, so we have a plan here. We'll now switch to vibe coding. I'll just accept it and we'll see what we get. I'm working in a regulated environment, and there is no way ever that agent-generated code will get into the codebase without a thorough review by 2 persons. Another good point, of course, not all companies can afford to heavily use AI. We definitely have sectors and companies and the government. I mean, in Germany, the government first needs to start using the internet before they start using AI, but that's a different story. We have those companies that can't use AI as much as some others might. And I think for no company is it a good idea to just embrace it and not understand the code and not care about the code quality. I think that's a bad strategy in general. I think web apps are fading away to leave space for agentic everything. Not sure if you mean it, but there is this idea of a future where we don't have like pre-built UIs, but instead UIs will be assembled and built on demand, on the fly by AI, depending on what the user asked for. Kind of like that vision by Google, which I mentioned earlier, right? Where their vision is that when somebody searches for something, the UI or the charts, the infographics for that search are generated automatically. And I don't think I fully agree with that vision. I think it makes sense for search, but when it comes to general UI, I think having a UI that was built by somebody that's optimized for a certain task is always superior than having a system where everything is built on the fly dynamically. Because not just that this stuff could break, and that it's not intuitive, and that if I come back to an app, I want it please to look the same it used in the past. These are all valid reasons, but that's not the only thing. I think you can give people a much better experience if you have purpose-built user interfaces than if everything is built dynamically on the fly. These are just my 2 cents on this. Cursor has an own layer in between the AI model. The layer seems to do something different. Yeah. So in general, no, like all these AI powered applications, no matter if it's Cursor or some image generation app, there are always extra layers, extra steps in between your prompt and the AI model that augment your prompt, change your prompt, check the output, and do all kinds of stuff to increase the likelihood of good results coming back. I completed your course, ChatGPT, the complete guy, and I liked it a lot. Thank you so much. That's really, really great to hear. I'm happy that it was helpful. Bit wondering which course is advisable to do when I need some more front-end stuff. Any advice? So for front-end, of course, a general JavaScript course. I got a JavaScript, the complete guide course, which might be interesting. A React course, if you want to get into React. I got a complete guide course in that too. I think these would be sensible choices if you want to dive deeper into front-end development. Would you say learning Golang for DevOps infra as code? For DevOps infra as code, I personally would probably not go with Go, though you can, of course. I mostly, so it is a lot of working with YAML files, to be very honest. But when it comes to like as code solutions, I've used quite a bit of TypeScript oriented solutions like the AWS CDK or the I forgot the name. Some other TypeScript embracing solution. So yeah, that has been my language for that. I have used Go for that, so it might be great, and I just don't know it, to be honest. Okay, so let's see what we got here. It's done. It's done. So let's run the dev server, and let's visit our Next.js application here. Oh, that is, I still got another server up and running as it seems. Wait a second. That was a different application you just saw. So let me quickly see that I find and kill that. Okay, so let's try again. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so not a super stunning UI, to be honest, but it will get the job done. We can enter our prompt here. We'll see the output image here. Yeah, so we got some dummy waiting here, and then we'll see the generated image here later. Okay, let's take a look at the code briefly. What do we have? We have super simple UI, which makes a lot of sense. So we got, of course, always a client-side component. Yeah, I also noticed, by the way, that Gemini 3 really likes to add these super long comments where it basically shares its thought process. Okay, so what we currently do is we just set the image to some dummy image here. And that is the part where we now will have to use the Google API. So I will install this package here. npm install. And I will add a .env file with my Google API key. And I will set this on a different screen because I'm not super interested in sharing that with everybody here. So I'll do that. Where is my... here we go. So I'll just need a second here. So sorry about that. I hope this is the correct key which I got here. We'll see if it works. And it's also possible that I'm not unlocked yet for this relatively new model here. So again, I want to do some AI coding. So what I often like to do, is I'll just grab this code snippet here, which uses this new image. And actually, I'll grab, not just image, the documentation, I mean, this new model. I'll grab that all the way down here. So I'll just copy it, just this part of the documentation, because I don't want to use the part with the old model. I don't want to confuse the model. I'll just copy the part about the new model. And then I'll go back into my chat here and say, great, now let's add the actual logic for generating the image with help of Google's API. And a Google API key env var is already set and will be available. You don't need to check or create that. Here's Google's official documentation on how to use this new model. And then what I like to do is I'll add some XML tags, Google image docs, just to add some structure here. I also covered this in my ChatGPT Complete Guide course. And I'll say, based on these docs, add the logic to generate the image based on the user prompt, and then display it in the output area. And we'll see if that works. We'll see if that works, if it gets that done. And I also don't know, as I mentioned, if I'm actually able to use that API yet. Oh, agent terminated with an error. Is that too long? It's not that long, though. Let's start a new conversation. I just need to change the start now. We're in a Next.js app that's about letting users generate images with help of AI. See page TSX. So let's see, does this work, or is it again? Do we have a problem here? Okay, looks like it's working. Okay. So back to the chat. Oh, wow. What? What's going on? Agent execution terminated due to an error. Looks like we get some problems with the servers. Let's try again. We're building a Next.js app that allows users to generate images with AI. Google's new image gen model. See add page. Okay, I'll copy this time and I'll try again if that works. Back to the chat. And let's hope that this now doesn't crash. You basically have to write out a spec for the AI to get something closer to what you want. Yep. So writing out a spec, doing some detailed planning, and again, providing precise instructions. These are all important skills when working with an AI. Like I'm doing it here, actually. This is not really vibe coding. I copied the relevant part from the docs. I gave it hopefully pretty clear instructions. That should give us better chances of it getting the thing done. We'll see, but you want to be precise. You want to provide helpful context. That is definitely important. Is anti-gravity agent-assisted or agent-driven? I think they're leaning more towards agent-driven. But then again, it's kind of where do you draw that border? I think if you give it very precise instructions, it's more agent-assisted. If you just tell it roughly what to do and you hope that it's doing the right thing, you're vibe coding and it's more agent-driven, if you want to put it like this. I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much to learn. Math, data structures and algorithms, programming languages, frameworks, databases, and now AI. Well, to be honest, as a developer, you don't need to know a lot about math necessarily. It's kind of a myth. Of course, there are areas where this is not true. If you're doing like game development, graphic engine development, stuff like that. But for web development, for example, math is not really important. Data structures and algorithms, there used to be a time like 2020 to 2022, I think, where it was extremely important, probably also the years before. I think now with AI, it may become a bit less important, because there's so much cheating going on remote interviews, at least. And for your day-to-day work, I think you should have a general understanding of some of the most important data structures and algorithms, but you don't need to be an expert there. So I wouldn't stress out about that either. For programming languages and frameworks, just pick one language, JavaScript, whatever it is. The same for frameworks. You don't need to learn everything there is, because learning never stops anyways. And with AI, on the other hand, it's now easier than ever to learn, because you can ask, you can get explanations, examples. So don't stress out. It may look like a lot, but it isn't. You don't have to know it all on day one. Just finished your React course, and it's amazing after you did the update. It's really well explained. Was much easier to guess. Yeah, thank you so much. Super happy that you liked the React course, that you got a lot out of it. Thanks so much for the amazing feedback, Milwaukee. Terraform is also something I personally haven't used a lot for DevOps and infrastructure as a code. But Pulumi, I used a lot of Pulumi, or a bit of Pulumi. I think it was Pulumi. What's the name? Yeah. It's currently returning errors from Google servers. I guess they have scaled it yet. Yeah. You need more vibes. Yeah. This would be vibe coding 2.0. So let's see what we got. I'll take a look at the code first. So what are we doing here? We got a generate image function. Where is this coming from? It's coming from actions, which makes sense. We want server actions. It's good that it's using that. And we're setting the image result then. Okay. Let's take a look at this action then, shall we? So in there, we take a look if we have that environment variable. It's a server action. That's good. We're using the Google Gen AI library. I think that is in line with what they do here. Yeah, it's in line with the official docs. Using the right model, sending the prompt as a contents array with an object which includes text, content parts. But I guess this is correct. Is that also how they do it here? Not sure. Here they send a prompt which is just an array, but we'll see if it works. We can change this, of course. I will have to take a look at the docs, what this exactly means. If that means that we'll get back text and an image, or an image with text inside, I'm not sure yet. And then I saw that in the docs that we have to iterate through the parts until the entire image is there, because it will also emit some thinking process, I think. And then we build a base 64 image, essentially. That's what we'll try to do here. So let's see whether that works. Where are we? Oh, I need to restart that development server. And now let's say I want an image of a monkey riding a bike. Some spinner missing here, but not a big issue. Let's see if we get a nice image here. And if it's any good, because I haven't used that model before. Get some bananas. Yeah. Oh, get some adult content here. So yeah, I think looks quite nice. Monkey riding a bike, drawn as a cartoon character with some heavy cell shading. There's a person in the background screaming help. So let's see if it can include some text. But yeah, it's working. That's really good. So again, if you provided the right context, like in this case, the official documentation, AI can generally produce good results. And that's the most important thing, providing the right context. And of course, it would have had no chance of getting this to work with the new model without these extra instructions, without this extra context, because this is brand new. This was added a couple of hours ago, so obviously the AI wouldn't know about it. So yeah, I like that. I like that. I mean, the person in the background is a different style than the monkey, but we could definitely change that. We could add some extra instructions here. So looks good, looks good. Let's say now we want an infographic that explains the... Okay, and now we'll try something interesting. I'll go to Google, to the AI mode, explain the recent Cloudflare outage, what caused it, and its impact. So maybe you missed it, but like 2 days ago or yesterday, I'm not sure. I think 2 days ago, there was like a big outage, a big problem with Cloudflare that led to X being offline and some other sites as well. So I now want to know, give me the step-by-step flow that led to this outage. So I want to now have like a short summary of what led to this outage, and now I want to use that and create an infographic based on that. Okay, so I'll copy that. Maybe it's too long. I'm not sure how well the new model is at managing this. So here I say, here's some info about a recent Cloudflare outage. And then I like my XML tags for structuring, Cloudflare outage details, just for some extra structure. I'm not sure if that really is so important, but I like it. So I pasted that in here. Can I make this bigger? No. I pasted it in here. Now generate a helpful infographic that shows these steps in an easy to digest way. And we'll see if that is any good. That's the saddle, man. Oh, it wasn't adult content. My bad. It was a weird saddle, though, I will say that. Off topic, but what is your opinion on Bitcoin? So, no investment advice, of course. I like using Bitcoin as an investment asset, just as you could use gold or stocks. I would not go all in on it. And for me, it's a very small part of my portfolio. But I see it as that. Okay, so there's one problem I see, which we had before with... Oh, no. Okay, it's just how it's displayed here. The image is actually fine. I was just about to say that the previous version of Nano Banana had a tendency to cut images off, but here the only problem is how I am displaying it. The image is actually fine. So let's see if that looks good. But there's plenty of text, and I don't think there are any typos in there. I'm not sure. I think this arrow here should probably like be going in that direction. So there's a tiny mistake, but it got the Cloudflare logo. And I will say this is really not bad. This is really not bad for an AI generated image. And even the small details here look good. Like here. So there might be a typo somewhere. I don't think there is. Again, got this issue, but overall, is the logic correct though? So database change, duplicate data. I read the details, so yeah, this is correct here. Feature file became oversized. Yep, that was the problem. Core software crashes due to size limit. That was the case. Bad file propagates globally to the edge network. That was the problem. They misdiagnosed it initially. That is true. I read the official blog post where they explain it. So it looks to me as if the only problem really is just this arrow, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Very good model. will probably open up brand new things you can do with it. Um, I think I'll give it a try again tomorrow, because I'm also interested in how well it is at keeping character consistency. So if you like give it an image of me and I tell it, give me a red shirt, if that keeps my face, because the previous model was good, but could have some problems here and there. Can you still get jobs as a React developer? You definitely can, but I've said it before, we talked about it before. For junior devs, definitely a bit more, definitely a trickier market these days, unfortunately. With programming languages, once you know the basics, it becomes really easy picking up other languages. This 100%. Once you know one language really well, learning other languages typically isn't that hard. Which one is better, RTK or React TanStack? I personally really like TanStack. I want to learn how to use AI in my projects. Which course from your courses do you recommend and why? What skills will I learn from it? So if we're talking about development, my AI for developers course would be good, because in there I try to give you an idea of how you can efficiently use AI to get more out of your development workflow, to use it efficiently as a developer. And I'm currently working on an update for this course, which I will hopefully soon have out. Yeah. So the images are really good. And I'm really impressed by this image. I will say that. But with all the text on there, that is really, really good. So and I like it. Again, this all makes sense, because if you were here at the beginning of this stream, or if you maybe watched my YouTube video today, Google's strategy, super obviously, is that they want to use AI to provide these rich search experiences where you deliver great results to people, not just text, but instead results that really make people happy and keep on using Google and spend more time on Google. So of course it makes sense that they want a model that can produce infographics like this, because that is really good. That is really, really good. Imagine doing a Google search where you want to get some explanation, and as part of the result you get a 3D model, something Gemini 3 can do for you, or an infographic like this, or an interactive element like this. And in addition, or for other search queries, you get infographics like this. So I think it all makes perfect sense that Google is heavily optimizing its models for these specific purposes. Relying on AI to write code for you seems like a good way to unlearn how to code. If you rely too much on it, you definitely, I've been there, we've probably all been there, right? You can feel your skill disappear as you just keep on using AI and you use it more and more. And so I agree. Now, actually, this is so amazing. Let me just quickly share that. So yeah, there is that. What else? Which other image? By the way, I also find it pretty impressive. Unfortunately, I can't resize here, but I find it really impressive that this is not a short prompt at all. I put all the details about the Cloudflare outage in there. So the actual image prompt, of course, is just this part. Actually just this part, but then I had all the context in there and it generated a good result, because with other image models by other providers, we often had the issue that you had to keep your prompts short. If they would get too long, you would get bad results. Here, it had no problems at all with dealing with this long prompt, so pretty impressive. So what else could we do? Maybe, let me see. Give me a second. I want to see how well it is at. Oh no, can we make it such that I can also provide input images? Please adjust the code to also support input images, i.e. user shares an image which is then used together with the text prompt to generate a new image, an edited version of the uploaded image. We only need to support 2 input images for now. It should be able to do that because in that context I shared earlier, in that documentation snippet, there also were examples for how to use images as input, I think. Use up to, yeah, how to use reference images. So it should be able to do that, hopefully. We'll see. Because I want to see if I give it an image of me, for example, if it's able to transform me and do something nice with me and keep my character consistent. Can you make it look like it was drawn by a human? Yeah, so currently I can't feed this infographic into it yet, but of course I can send that same prompt again and say, I want an infographic that has a hand-drawn look and really looks like it was drawn by a real human. We can try regenerating it. It will probably look totally different, but hopefully hand-drawn. How should we learn new languages and frameworks in the AI era? Is building practice projects by hand still worthwhile? Building projects is the only way of learning something. That has not changed. Of course, you can do it with AI assistance. You can especially also ask the AI for assistance. I would totally recommend that. But if you just let the AI build everything, you will not really learn how to code. That is the big problem. It's so easy to just let the AI do everything, but you won't really learn a lot if you do that. So that is the way to go. So here's the hand-drawn graphic. And okay, so we got always the steps duplicated, but that seems to be on purpose. I mean, that is like a mistake. That title, we don't need it twice. It's not a horrible mistake, but clearly, yeah, would look better if we would not have it twice. But that seems good. This time the flow is also good. I like the angry face of the server here and of all the edge nodes. So it's really good. It's really good. And still no typos. Wow. I'm really genuinely excited by that. I like it when stuff like that becomes possible because it opens up so many exciting opportunities. So again, let's post some more. Yeah, pretty cool. Now let's see, how is that work on, oh yeah, we got a plan, let's proceed. I want to be able to upload images. My Mern course will probably not be updated anytime soon, to be honest. The Node course, yeah, I agree, would definitely benefit from an update, but I can't promise anything there. There is just too much stuff going on. But it is, I will say that, unlike the Mern course, it is generally on the list for an update I would like to do in the somewhat near future. Yeah. So, how's the vibe coding? I don't think we did a lot of real vibe coding, just a little bit in between. Now it was more like agentic engineering, and that is going well, I would say. Okay, now again, got an error. Please continue. Let's see if it's able to continue. Yeah. So yeah, I think the coding is going well, but yeah, it wasn't too much vibe coding. Yeah, that's crazy good. Those images really are good that are being generated. And now I'm excited to see once it's done how well it is when I upload images as input. Angular plus AI course. There are so many potential courses, but an Angular plus AI course probably won't be the next one. Okay, so now I want to upload a reference image of myself. So here's an image of me taken from a video today in my recording setup. And I want to say remove the microphone and the laptop and make me smile towards the camera. And we'll see if that works. I will say I had problems with generating images based on me, where it kind of didn't want to do that because it told me there's a person, you can't use that. Oh, okay. Oh, it's too big for the server action. Okay, so let's go to the next config. I mean, normally I wouldn't upload it as a base 64 image like this. Normally I would upload it to Cloudflare and then kind of use that. But let's see. Yeah, what is the problem? But didn't it tell me that I should... What's it called? Yeah, so it is... Oh, server actions body size limit. Okay. So server actions body size limit. Let's do 5 megabytes. And let's try again. The image is 1.5 megabytes, so remove the microphone and laptop and make me smile towards the camera. And let's see if it accepts this. What's the issue now? Fail to generate image. But why? Fail to generate image. Okay, this is not so helpful. Let's see. What are we doing? So we are adding... Oh, it's possible. I'm not sure. How do we have to... How is it expecting images? Base 64 should work. Okay, base 64 image file. Yeah, so shouldn't that work? Is that not? What are we working with here? What are we getting? So if I send this, what are we getting on the back end? So yeah, that looks like base 64 to me, or could be, I guess. Oh no, is there like an input field? So, oh, this is match, right? Whoops, what happened? So, data is, what's match 2? MIME type match 1. But isn't that, I mean, what do we have here? We have an array. But the first element isn't the MIME type. What is image? I mean, that's the problem. If you didn't write the code, you have to kind of find out what you're dealing with. So let's see, what are we dealing with? I mean, I guess that is the base 64 data. So actually, I understand what it's doing here, but I think I can simplify this. So we're going through all the images, and for each image, we're adding a content part. And in my case here, I know that it will be a JPEG file. Obviously, you would want to build this in a more flexible way if this were a real app, but I know that I'm uploading an image file, a JPEG file. So actually, we don't need to do all that stuff. And maybe now it works. Let's see. Maybe I also need to reload here. Let's try reloading before I check this again. But maybe it's also, yeah, maybe it's also a different problem. And unfortunately, like, yeah, this entire output is not too helpful. Yeah, so regarding the match one thing, I think that shouldn't be the problem because image overall, it's of course absolutely possible that the problem is how we encode the image here on the front end. So we got handle image upload, got our new images. I mean, that should work, I guess. New images push. The result of using file reader to read it as a data URL. That should work, I guess. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on what exactly Gemini expects here. What is a base64 image file? Is it the base64 string, or is it a URL to a file with that inside of it? I don't think so, but I don't know. That is a bit unfortunate that I don't know that, because I haven't used it before, obviously. No, but it is the base64 image data, I think. So it should be fine. It should be fine, but it clearly isn't. Passing the images to generate image. And I mean, that is correct too, right? We got our contents with the inline data and then MIME type and then data, inline data, MIME type data. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're passing those content parts to Gemini. Okay, so what is the error? What's the error we're getting here? Or is it actually... do we not have an image part? Or what's the issue here? Let's take a look. It would be kind of nice to get this to work, I guess. Yeah, this wall of base64 text unfortunately doesn't tell me anything. I just wonder, is this my log here? Or is this some old log output? So yeah, I won't waste a lot of time on that if it doesn't work. It's not the most important thing in the world. How small are the chunks you use? Oh no, it's not a question for me. Yeah, anyways, it's not too important. Would have been nice somewhat to see what the problem is, but I mean, one last thing I want to check real quick. So in the action, no, here in the page, we're console logging the error. Here, so I think we got a 400 status code. Let's take a look at the response. Console log response. What do we have in there? Candidates. Response text is probably something else. Do we even make it here is the question. I think we don't even make it here. This just throws an error, doesn't it? This just throws an error, and that's then what we print here. And the problem with the error is that it doesn't really give us a lot of useful information. Anyways, I'll figure that out. outside of this stream, and then probably create a YouTube video or anything like that. So I've been using an AI agent recently to help build components features. What I have found is that you start in small chunks and review after every iteration. Yeah, you want to work in small chunks. You want to have like precise instructions. You don't want to make it overly complex. When using with AI, context, clear instructions, and limited scope is everything, in my experience, as a developer. I think vibe coding shouldn't be considered a real deal. As you can see, Maxi is referring to documentation while coding. Yeah, so it's a totally different thing. If you like copy and paste documentation into a chat as extra context, that's not vibe coding. Because if you're vibe coding, if you maybe don't even know how to write code, that's not something you do. You just ask, build me that, and you hope that it's right. You giving it clear instructions is your superpower as a developer. It is what sets you apart. That's why I said initially, going deep and becoming an expert, knowing stuff together with AI, that is really like where you want to be. That's where I want to be for sure. So yeah, that's that. It really kind of annoys me that this is not working though, because I'm really not sure what the issue is. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I have not enough experience with this API to know which exact input it wants, or how I can get more error details. There is one thing I want to check though. I want to check if I can. Nah, it's fine. Is that? Yeah, it's this message, right? So yeah. Is there some status tag? Oh, it's unknown. Yeah, don't care. Yeah, I entered the vibe code hell territory. Yeah, I did. Code with AI is all about how detailed your prompt is. Be as descriptive as you can. Give it context, most importantly, in very small testable chunks. Yeah, 100%. And then you can get pretty good results. And speaking of good results, even though this image part here doesn't work, where I share my own image, like the results we had before, for this new nano banana image, really good. Really good. Really like that. So yeah, I think to kind of circle back to the beginning of the stream and slowly come to an end for this stream, Gemini 3 is really a good model. Maybe there's more hype than it is good, but I'm not sure. You saw it here. With some clear instructions, I got good results. Anti-gravity, by the way, still not my favorite tool. Was just using it here for the stream. But you can get good results. Now here, of course, it doesn't work, and I'm also not sure because I think we're sending base 64 to Google. I'm not sure if there is maybe some size limit or anything like that. I would have to dive a bit deeper into the docs to understand what may be going on. Oh, also interesting, by the way, we can send up to 5 images of humans. So you can send up to 14 images, but Google says, yeah, 5 humans is enough. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, not sure what the problem here is, but in general, really nice model, and Gemini 3 is a nice model. So Google really cooked, if you want to use that term, and got some nice models, which, as I mentioned before, make sense for their strategy, which clearly seems to be to win the search game, or they already won it, I guess, but to keep winning in it. Yeah, there is that. Now, it will be interesting, of course, to see what the next models can do by XAI, by OpenAI, by Anthropic. And therefore, it will be interesting to see where we are on this curve here. If we are like on a trajectory where progress kind of slows down or where it ramps up again. Also, I think it's important that AI and using these large language models is more than just the model. If you use it in Cursor, as we mentioned earlier, you're using the model, of course, but you are using it through a couple of layers provided by Cursor, by the Cursor software. The prompt you send to the model is not the prompt that reaches the model. It gets augmented and enhanced by Cursor. There are so many things going on, and the best way of using AI, of course, is to build amazing software around it that then can really unlock brand new features or use cases. The model on its own is just a token generator. It's always been like this. It is, of course, stuff like fine-tuning the model so that it is better at following tool instructions. If you tell it you got the following 5 tools, you can fine-tune a model to be better at picking tools. You can fine-tune a model to be better at adding text to images, like Nano Banana Pro clearly seems to be. So these are all things that, of course, are related to the model, but the software around the model is also extremely, extremely important. So that's just something to keep in mind, I think. And I will just say, by the way, in theory, I don't think it is like this, but in theory, of course, you could also imagine that text-heavy images like this are generated by an image model generating these illustrations, and then some extra step on Google servers adding the actual text in some placeholder areas that have been marked by the model for to be inserted. I'm not saying that it is like this. I don't work at Google. I don't know that. But of course, you could produce better results if you had image models that are bad at producing text by having image models just produce the visuals and then placeholders where the text should be added, and by then having an extra step that parses the generated image and inserts the text. Maybe not what's going on here, but yeah, it's that combination of AI and then the container, the software in which the AI runs. I guess that's all I'm saying. But yeah, with that, I think there was hopefully an interesting stream. Had a look at Gemini 3, had a look at Nano Banana, did some vibe coding, did some agentic engineering, ended with an error, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I hope you liked it. Let me quickly check. I don't think there are any big questions open anymore. So yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope you got a lot out of this stream, and I hopefully see you in future streams. My plan is to stream roughly every Thursday, and I think I will be streaming next. Yeah, I will be streaming next Thursday too. So same time next Thursday. If you missed the beginning of today's stream, you can use my where is it? My Maximilian Schwarzmüller extended YouTube channel. All the past streams are uploaded there. This one will be uploaded there too tomorrow. Also, my main channel might be interesting for you to hear why front-end devs are not redundant. And with that, I wish you an amazing day, evening, morning, whatever it is for you. Thank you so much for joining in. And yeah, see you in the future. Bye-bye.